community college system, a 2023 recipient of the Governor Robert W. Scott Student Leadership Award. And CSTAC has become a family affair for Anthony, as his daughter graduated from UNC, and his son is currently a CSTEP student at Carteret Community College. He's incredibly driven, and we're incredibly lucky to have him here. Anthony, I'll turn it over to you.
Some of those things she just said is in my speech, so you're just going to hear it twice. I apologize. I've been asked today to share my personal story a little bit and my educational journey. My educational journey began when I was in my early 20s. I enrolled into a community college as a pre-med student, and for reasons I couldn't figure out at the time, it was over in less than 2 semesters, and I dropped out. Shortly after that, I spent 7 years working as a stand-up comedian in the Midwest, and during that time, little did I know, I was developing a serious mental health issue. An issue that ended up taking me off of the stage. After suffering a complete mental breakdown, my wife and I decided to move our family to Carteret County for a fresh start. A week before we were supposed to drive to North Carolina, our car got stolen. And we ended up flying to North Carolina to start our new life, owning nothing except what we could fit inside a few suitcases. So with 2 young children to support, I failed at many jobs before landing on disability. Standing before a judge admitting that I was no longer capable of supporting my family is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But disability saved my life, allowing me to focus on my mental health instead of worrying about how I was going to feed my family. For more than a decade, my life consisted of being a prisoner of my own home, with lots of visits to my psychiatrist, my therapist, and being frequently committed to mental health institutions, not as a danger to others, but as a danger to myself. Things like going to Walmart and playing catch in my front yard with my son were a battle, and unfortunately, it was a battle I lost way too frequently. But in my late 30s, I realized that in order to get better, I couldn't just wait for some magical medication that was going to solve all of my problems. I actually had to start working on my issues, build my toolbox, and actually work on my problems. It took years of hard work and failures, but I learned from those failures and turned them into future victories. I started to get better, much better. And in my early 40s, I decided it was time to begin my journey off of disability. Since my community had served me through disability for so long, I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life serving my community. I started by completing a class to be a peer support specialist, but all that did was reveal to me a hunger in my soul for knowledge that I knew could only be satisfied by enrolling in college full time. I truly thought I would fail the very first semester, but it was shortly after COVID and there was free federal funding, so I figured it's Uncle Sam's dying, so let's roll the dice. Obviously, I did not fail my first semester. In fact, Carteret Community College, along with the resources and opportunities I received there, including being a part of TRIO, which is unfortunately now on the chopping block due to our country's new administration, which is a travesty because resources like TRIO have literally saved my life and have forever changed the life of my family. During my time at Carteret Community College, I was awarded the Outstanding Freshman of the Year Award. I was inducted into Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. I made the President's List. Got to complete the Community College System's Student Leadership Development Program led by the amazing Dr. J.J. Evans, and was the regional winner of the Robert W. Scott Student Leadership Award. I was also elected president of Carteret Student Government Association, where I had the privilege of being mentored by the college president, Dr. Tracy Mancini, where I had the opportunity to work one-on-one with her, where she encouraged me and gave me guidance to help lead my team to try to make our college even better than it already was. The following year, I was elected the president of the N4C SGA, which is the student government that oversees all 50 community colleges. And the time I spent on the N4C SGA board, working with my fellow students, is the time I'll always cherish. And because of that position, I got to be a sworn-in member of the State Board of Community College in Raleigh, where I had the honor to be the voice of every student in the system and serve next to senators, legislators, judges, and captains of industry to try to help turn the Great 58 into what Chair Tom Looney likes to call the Extraordinary 58. Sorry, the Exceptional 58. I originally started out in college to be a nurse, but after falling in love with anatomy and physiology 1 and 2, I knew in my heart that I had to change my goal to medical school. I had already heard of the C-STEP program because of my daughter, who was on the autism spectrum and was at one time a few grades behind her classmates in her studies and in special classes. But in high school, a light came on, and by the time she graduated, she was off her IEP, taking honors and AP classes, and had been accepted into the C-STEP program straight out of high school. She has now graduated from UNC last May and is now working on her master's degree to become a librarian, which means last year at UNC, I was an underclassman to my daughter, which is something she loves to remind me of. Now she just goes, "Oh, you undergrads." I never thought it would be possible for me to get into a college as prestigious as UNC Chapel Hill, but I decided to give it a shot and apply to the C-STEP program. I made that decision one day before the application was due. So I had to complete my application, write all my essays in one day. I also had to contact my professors and not only say, "Hey, would you give me a letter of recommendation, but could you have that in by tomorrow, please?" It's just not something I advise you to do. But it worked out, and I was accepted in the program. I am now 2 semesters away from completing a BS in biology and a BA in psychology, and well on my way to applying to medical school. And now my handsome son AJ is also in C-STEP and with us here today. AJ, give me a wave. I had to promise to buy him pizza and play Hollow Knight Silk Song until 3 in the morning with him for the weekend. I had always heard how hard UNC was and how it was going to be so much harder compared to the community college. And let me tell you, first off, I have never met an unhappy liberal arts or psychology major. You guys are always smiling. But for my STEM majors out there, let me tell you that UNC is going to be harder than it was at community college. But there's no need to freak out. At community college, I got an A on almost every exam, except in calculus. Let's be honest, calculus professors have to be just a little bit insane to decide they want to do derivatives of integrals every single day for the rest of their life. I only say that because my calculus professor is right down here, and my C-STEP advisor, Mr. Pocket. Love Mr. B. He gave me a B. On my first major exam here, in Bio 103, I got a D. It was the first D I had ever gotten on a test since I had restarted college. And I thought to myself, I do not belong here. They made a mistake by accepting me. I'm probably the only one struggling. What am I going to do? But let me tell you, first off, you will not be the only one struggling. This is one of the best schools in the country for many reasons. But one of the main reasons is the resources that they have available to students. At community college, they tested me on my knowledge of a subject, where here, knowing the material is the minimum expectation. Here you have to be able to analyze that information and apply it to real-world scenarios, which is something I did not know how to study for. So I made an appointment with the Learning Center, and an advisor sat down with me and helped me figure out exactly what my study habits were and helped me build a roadmap on how I could be successful on the tests that I had coming up. Since going to the Learning Center, I get mostly A's on my tests, but I have never done worse than a B on any exam. So when you get here, if you need to make adjustments like I had to make, please use your resources. They have so many resources here for the students, including the Writing Center, tutors in a multitude of subjects. Please take the time to go to your professor's office hours. They genuinely want to help you and are there to help. You just have to show up and ask. If you use your resources, I promise you, you will be successful here. If you are in this room, there's a reason you're in this room. And if you couldn't rock out hard classes, you would not be here. And if you do not know where to find these research sources, contact Beth Ann Brian, or Rebecca, who are all absolutely amazing, and I assure you they will put you in touch with the right person. Now I'd like to give you some just practical advice about UNC. You can do with it what you will. First off, buy an umbrella that has a good wind rating and that will fit in your backpack and leave it there at all times. Every single time it rains, I see students running from class to class using their backpack as a hat because they forgot to pack their umbrella. Buy it, stick it in there, leave it in there. Second, Lenore Dining Hall has all the best restaurants for you to use your plus swipes, but Chase definitely has the best pizza. If you're really craving a good burger, well, you're gonna have to walk to Franklin Street. And don't worry, it's only a half-mile walk or a short bus ride, and there's several good places for a burger, but you can never go wrong with 7 Drugs, which I know sounds like a pharmacy, but I assure you it is not. One of the biggest mistakes I made when I got here was I chose to take a semester to adjust without getting involved with it. Do not make that mistake. Join a club, find somewhere to volunteer. For science majors, pursue research opportunities right away. And please do yourself a favor and attend the sporting events. And I don't just mean the big football and basketball games, but as many different sporting events as you can. Even if you don't like sports, you will love the camaraderie that comes along with rooting on the hills with your fellow classmates, no matter what sport you are supporting. And definitely learn the alma mater. You will love locking arms and swaying with your fellow classmates while rooting on the Tar Heels. Moving to North Carolina many years ago was the best decision I've ever made, short of marrying my beautiful wife, Christine, 28 years ago. The community college system and C-STEP helped me come to this beautiful college that has changed my life. I am so excited that each of you gets the chance to come here as well. And if you let it, it will change your life too. Now I want to leave you with one thing that you're going to have to get used to doing here at Carolina on a very regular basis. Any juniors and seniors in the room, help me out. I say tar, you say heel. Tar! Heel! Tar!
Heel!
Tar!
Heel!